Anyone who has been around custom cars should know that not all cars that look fast actually perform that way, and many cars that do perform well don't look that way at all. These two different kinds of sports cars are commonly known as racers and tuners, with the former being oriented towards looks and feel, and the latter towards pure performance. But that's far from the whole story. So today, let's take a look at 5 of the biggest differences that separate the two sides of the custom car world. Number 5. Mechanics. As we mentioned, the main thing that separates tuners from racers is their focus on performance over anything else. And as you can imagine, the place where this is the most apparent is the drivetrain of tuner vehicles. For a tuner, the best way to improve their car is by doing things like engine overhauls and mechanical upgrades, basically anything that might make the cars faster on its plate. This leads to tuner cars having a much larger number of internal modifications as compared to racers. In fact, even when racers do have internal modifications, they are considered different from the ones you are going to find in a tuner. For example, where a tuner might add a turbocharger to their engine to improve the engine's output, a racer might remove existing turbos just to improve the sound of their vehicle. The same goes for the kind of parts they source. Take wheels for instance. Both tuners and racers often end up opting for custom rims for their cars, and while they end up with rims that look the same, think oversized, complex wheels with thinner tires. In reality, the two seats of rims are completely different. Why? Well, where a racer simply wants a wheel that looks like that so that many opt for wheels that perform no better than regular wheels, and in some instances, wheels that are actually worse than regular ones. A tuner will only go for such an upgrade if it actually improves performance. As a result, even when tuners and racers might seem to have the same part, the part in the tuner is going to be genuine and far more expensive as compared to a racer. In short, what makes a tuner special is going to be what's underneath the hood. By comparison, a racer is generally going to be much more mundane, if not downright inefficient when it comes to their drivetrain. This is also why the markets for the two are so different. The parts for racers are often brand new since they don't require a lot of precision and high quality engineering to make, while the tuner part market will consist of significantly more expensive parts. The same applies to secondhand stuff as well, since racer parts are meant to look over the top. Going with new items is the general approach, while a tuner might actually prefer a secondhand item to a brand new one just because they might have a better chance of getting something that comes from a higher quality manufacturer. Number 4. Aerodynamics. Now, while the differences underneath the hood are easy to understand, the ones outside are a little bit more complicated, something that is immediately apparent in the aerodynamics department. You see, while most of us think that a car with better aero is going to be the one meant to perform better, in other words, a tuner, while a car with bulky parts might be the one whose looks take precedence, that is, the racer, in the world of custom cars that is the exact opposite. This might come as a shock to you guys, but in general, if you see a custom car with a large spoiler, a ton of vents, and especially one with a lowered suspension, you are probably looking at a racer. On the other hand, a custom car with a minor spoiler, if anything, is more likely to be a tuner. This is because at the speeds these cars run at, aerodynamics, or more specifically aerodynamic tech, doesn't actually make a difference. In fact, that giant spoiler your friend Dave is so proud of, it's probably slowing down his car because most aero mods are that level aren't even designed to be functional. This is why things like fake vents and unnecessary wings are a hallmark of the racer lifestyle, which, while cool, doesn't really matter to a tuner. Number 3. Cabin. Now, what does matter to people who like racers is the way the car is on the inside, and if the idea of it's what's on the inside that counts is to be taken seriously, they are certainly doing it right. This is because not only are racer interiors simply superior to tuner ones, they're actually some of the most impressive interiors all around. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to find these things like heated seats and massage chairs in these things, but what you will find is some of the best sports kits available. Leather, Alcantara, and fabric finishes, great looking colors and dials, maybe even a roll cage and an oversized gear ship, nothing is off the table. And if that wasn't enough, the electronics are a whole other story. In general, inside a racer, everything from sat-nav and other infotainment to the actual favorite thing of people who drive racers, the sound system, is going to be top-notch. By comparison, a tuner is most commonly going to be found with the stock interior with little to no added accessories. Not only that, many tuners actually like to remove things that carry additional weight, including extra seats, speakers, and even the AC. And while all of that might sound fancy and cool, it is far from the ideal situation for a car you want to drive on a daily basis. Number 2. Look and show. Now, one statement people often like to throw around when talking about cars is that looks are subjective. And while that isn't exactly wrong, I don't think anyone could disagree with the fact that racers are simply going to be tuners in a head-to-head beauty pageant any day of the week. This is thanks to the no small part to the fact that looks are the very core of the racer philosophy, while most tuners simply couldn't care less. This is why you will often see tuner cars that might look pretty, much the same as regular cars when not in use, while a racer is going to make his presence known from a mile away. And that is not hyperbole, because another favorite thing to customize within the racer community is the exhaust. In fact, it is one of the first things that these people like to customize. And while you can claim the sound doesn't ultimately matter, standing next to a full-throttle racer with a pumped-up exhaust is easily one of the coolest automotive experiences out there. And sure, tuners might sound better than your average car, but let's face it, they're not going to turn any heads when driving down the street unless someone is specifically looking for one. By comparison, a racer is often going to be hard to ignore or forget once it gets into your view. And that is before all the other add-ons people may add, including but not limited to custom paint jobs, decals, scoop, air intakes, muffler deletes, and every other thing in between. Basically, what it was for true tuners under the hood is going to be true for a racer when we talk about the exterior. Number 1. Use cases. Now we can go on and on about the things that might be added to a racer or the all things that make a tuner fun to drive. The fact of the matter is, all of those differences all come down to one simple fact. Tuners and racers are simply made for different tasks and for different kinds of people. Sure, a tuner is always going to beat a racer in a head-to-head race, but unless you are going to a professional mechanics convention, no one's going to pay attention to it. Whereas a racer is going to make everyone from the nerdiest car guy to your grandpa, who doesn't even know anything about cars, turn around and go, wow. At the same time, if you ever come upon a nice open road, a racer is going to feel clunky and messy, while a tuner is going to give you an experience that is going to be hard to forget. The difference in their uses is so big that many custom car owners often own both tuners and racers for their respective places. Not only that, racers and tuners are often showcased at different events too, with racers being the highlight of things like auto shows and conventions, while tuners have started to become the default car people bring to street races. So in short, what makes a racer and a tuner has less to do with the individual car or the car owner, and more to do with where and how the car is going to be driven. And that's about all we had for you today, and with that, we'd like to pass the question off to you. Which side are you on? Do you think a custom car should look impressive, or do looks and feel don't matter and the speed is the only metric they should be compared on? Let us know in the comments down below. And that covers our list of the top 5 differences between racers and tuners. I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Click on one of the videos on your screen right now.